Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm Mephisto, and always with me, my hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, buddy.
What is the Reel McCoy? The Reel McCoy is your movie podcast of the week. They're your weekly podcast where we discuss movies. We go out, we tell you which movie to go and watch. We watch it all together. Well, not at a watch party, but we watch it, each and every one of us, in our own home. And we come back here and we discuss it. We break it down. We tell you a few things. And along the way, we cut to a few segments that make us laugh and make us happy. So before we start everything, I want you to, if you have any suggestions, if you want to see any movies, if you want us to discuss specific ones, please go to Mephisto on Twitter or on Instagram, which I don't use a lot, but I do have presence there, Mephisto79. Or if you want to email me, Mephisto79@gmail.com, or just comment section down below. Tell us what you want, what you feel like, what you don't want, anything and everything. All right, we've got I think it's Let's Go Brandon from last week, which I love.
Also
that meme.
Biffer and
With maybe possibly Biffer. Hi, everybody. Put Alec Baldwin in jail. I don't think so. Yeah, we have to discuss this maybe at the start. We'll first. In the month of October, we're dealing with all sorts of horror movies. Today, we're going to discuss Event Horizon. Next week, I'm going to disclose it. It's going to be October 30th, a day before Halloween. We are going to discuss Halloween, the original one from John Carpenter.
James Bond.
Yeah. It's James Bond. Okay. So we're going to discuss Halloween next week. And later on, we're going to move on to other movies that are not horror. We've got a few movies lined up. Now, how was Event Horizon for you, my friend?
Now, Event Horizon reaches that very weird crux between it crosses over to not only a film genre, but also a different form of medium in Warhammer 40,000 for me.
Oh yeah,
Because
we
a
discussed
lot of,
this off stream last
yes,
week, so please
a lot
speak.
of people consider this as a prequel to Warhammer 40,000, as in them, like humanity actually discovering the warp for the first time with that interdimensional travel, and basically what the horrors that they find and what they could bring back without even knowing it, and
Yeah,
being taken over by these horrific entities in the warp. Um, for me, I enjoy this movie a lot. I think it's a lot cheesier now that I watch it in retrospect. Like a good, I think the last time I watched it was like 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but it's still a fun ride all the way through. I don't think it's as scary. You mentioned this backstage, Neff. I don't think it's as scary as it was on the first viewing. I think a lot of the inherent creeping dread loses its value upon a second viewing.
yeah,
Um, Especially if you take all of the dream sequences and the very clear jump scares that are coming out of nowhere. If you
yeah.
take those out of consideration, it's not a very scary movie. The prospect of it is terrifying.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, so my experience with this movie is kind of in crux with how I spend my couple of years before. So my, let's say my senior year and the year that I've had before I enlisted into the army, where it was basically mid, maybe 96, 97, and the start of 98, where I had a very good friend that we went to movies together. We watched two movies, not every weekend, but every few weeks. When like a big movie came out, we went to watch a movie, and we went to watch a second movie, which is basically a, not really a B movie, like a 70s B movie, but a sort of a movie that is not a like a big title or something grandiose. So this was the second movie that we watched when we went to the cinema, and it was a like a midnight release, which is good because you want a scary movie in a midnight release. And I remember when I sat in the theater, it was like a big screen theater, not one of those small screens, and I was genuinely terrified because of a lot of things that were going on. But watching it later on in a small screen at the house, and to be honest, I haven't watched this at least 20 years, at least 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I even haven't even thought about it. I kind of know the whole plot line. Nothing really surprised me, but having rewatched it last week, like preparing for the podcast, I was like, man, this is not scary at all. Like a lot of the stuff there kind of harkens back to what we talked about Blade. They couldn't get the CGI water. They couldn't get the CGI water
I mean,
correctly. Now we're
blood.
going to touch upon that in a bit. In a bit,
Yeah.
I'm just going. And so that's my experience with the movie. Overall, I think was a good, well-made movie. Not a blockbuster, but a really good sci-fi horror in the way that they don't do sci-fi horror anymore.
More. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um there was kind of a resurgence with the whole redoing the aliens thing. So Prometheus and Alien Covenant, not the same, but of the same ilk, I would say. It's just not good, not very,
Yeah.
very well made. Um and with this, the concept is awesome. The concept itself is really awesome. The science behind it, kind of, out there. But it's when you go for a ride and you don't want to have it too realistic, I would say, right? You don't
Correct.
want it
Mm-hmm.
too realistic. You want them to tell you a story. That's what I love. Tell me a good story. The story itself is pretty basic, but there's elements there where it's really, really good. So let's dive deeper into the movie. So the
And
movie's kind. Yeah.
I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
before we get started, I'll go ahead and I just want to just name off some really fun facts about the movie before it started.
Cool.
Before we get started, first of all, Paul W.S. Anderson, when after the critical success of Mortal Kombat, the original, he was given a whole litany of scripts. He turned down MK Annihilation, good idea,
Yeah. Yeah.
but turned down X-Men, bad idea.
That's not good. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but he wanted what he said he wanted to make a sci-fi horror film, and he got the script and the original story by Philip Eisner, who actually admitted to the fact that Warhammer 40K was a direct influence on the story when he wrote it.
Nice.
So that's good. Um, we'd mentioned the fact that Event Horizon is considered mostly like a prequel to 40K by the fans. That's not a canonical fact at all whatsoever.
Yeah, I know. I
It's
know.
more just fans consider it that way. Paramount rushed this movie into production and into editing so much because of one simple thing. Do you know what that was?
Summer blockbuster season, maybe. This came out May, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
This came out no, August. August. So yeah, it's probably rushed due to summer stuff.
No, it got delayed because of the biggest blockbuster they had at the time that was still in production, which was Titanic.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It got so rushed that the original cut of the movie was an hour was 130 minutes, was 2 hours and 10 minutes. It got cut down to 136 minutes.
Yeah.
When they got to production and editing, post-production, I mean, typically the typical post-production and editing time is 10 weeks. That's what they typically give anyone to edit a film.
Yeah.
He had to go back and do reshoots, things. He had 4 weeks to edit this movie before release. 4 weeks.
I have a great story for next month when we're going to cover Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I have a great story, and I realized I have another connection to a movie that I didn't realize I have a connection for.
Yeah.
To be continued.
But could you imagine trying to cut down
that's 4 weeks? That's
in 4
insane.
weeks before release too, because they wanted it pushed out the gate because they needed something to be released.
I'm gonna tell you what they cut. They cut away probably dream sequences for DJ or trauma, the trauma dude, the
doctor.
physician. Probably they cut away. I wouldn't say they cut away Cooper stuff or Smitty stuff because you don't see them with anything that has to do with dream sequences because they haven't spent too much time on the ship. Stark might have had a storyline involving any dream sequence that if it was, that must have been cut away as well. I'm just guessing, spitballing here. And they were left with just the stuff that they had to put in.
A lot of it was certain things that Paul W. Anderson admitted that he wanted to cut out, except for a good 15 minutes of film. Mm-hmm. The rest he wanted to cut away because they were rushed so fast to make the movie that they had to. And this also, the budget of the movie was $60 million. This was no flash in the pan side project whatsoever. This was still,
was
at the time,
project.
At the time, it was still a relatively expensive movie to make. And they messed it up. They really messed it up.
Super bombed as well, I think, on my list.
Yes.
Home box office was 42 million. So that's
That was
real bad.
worldwide release was 42 million on a $60 million budget, but it has since become a kind of a cult classic,
Yeah, and
and
it made its money back. Yeah,
it has recouped its expenses,
yeah.
inevitably, but that took about what, uh,
A
probably
few
10
years.
years
Yeah, a few
to get
years.
to get to that point.
I think maybe it became cult classic once it reaches DVD sales. I bet you the DVD sales kind of put it over the top. Um Maybe because of like 40K, like Warhammer 40K, maybe, I don't know. I haven't heard that connection before, but I am not really versed in the whole Warhammer
Well,
genre. Like,
yeah,
I've only heard about it the last maybe 8 years or
I
so.
wouldn't even say that. A lot of people that love Alien and Aliens love this movie because it has kind of the same premise and setup. Existential,
Um,
creeping dread from the start of the movie, and then it changed. And by the way, that is, uh, people say some of the shots in the film are very reminiscent of Alien and Aliens. That's very true because the original screenplay was shot like it was like an Aliens kind of a
mm,
ripoff in a way.
yeah.
The
You
original
know,
story actually had demons in it, but that's a whole other thing, though.
you know what's funny? This movie, along with like last week, was also supposed to be scary movie. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. The title. Never mind. So I was just I wanna hearken to like the beginning of this movie because let me just put it on screen because this is just too funny. This is just hopeful 90s. It's always 2015, and in like second later, I can't really show it, but it's always 2032. It's always 2015 in like 90s and late 80s movies.
80s stuff,
It's
yeah.
always these two dates that are like big. 2015, nah. And we have no base on the moon, and there's no plans to even get
No
there.
prospect to start mining on Mars by
Yeah,
2032 either. So
no freaking way. Yeah, but so the whole premise is a ship called Event Horizon had a, well, we can say it had a new drive put in and was used, and it disappeared. And in 2047, they got like a signal, and they're sending a team to salvage the ship.
or
So
any crew that are left.
yeah, um,
Which
sorry.
the one thing, when we get to that point, I'm going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to go off a little bit on a side tangent about 40K for I got about good 2 minutes. That's
Yeah,
all
no worries.
about the warp when we get there.
We're gonna yeah, soon. So we have the team. I'm gonna jump in straight into the first dream sequence actually. So we have the team. They are in status. They're supposed to be in status not because of the time it takes to go there, because they have ion drives. They're in those tanks because it's they said like 47 G's and you couldn't handle it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna put you in this tank, and this tank will save you from the 47 G's. And they're off to Neptune, right? Not
Correct. Yeah.
Uranus.
Outside of
Not
Neptune.
Uranus, just Neptune. They're outside of Neptune. So we have the first dream sequence where Dr. Weir thinks he gets out, and we see Claire, which when we see Dr. Weir for the first time, he does have like a shrine for this Claire person, and
Yeah.
we don't actually know who she is until he actually divulged that information much later.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, we know it's somebody significant, and we don't even know she's dead. We just know he's dreaming about her. So he gets up.
Well, the fact that she has no eyeballs, which is
Well, technically, but at this point, it's because you know the story that you know she's dead, but until the point where there's the dream where she actually slashes her own wrists, that's
Oh
where it
no, this is
actually clicks.
prevalent in the first dream sequence because when he confronts her, she has no eyes. Her eyes have been gouged out.
Yeah, but it's just, it could, if you watch this for the first time, you're like, oh, that's a scary moment.
Yeah.
You may, okay, you may be putting two and two together,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
they don't actually tell you until they actually show you. They don't even tell you.
Yeah.
They actually show it to you. But we have that, and I can't really show too much because she's naked. But he gets up and he meets the crew.
Which, by the way, this is like the first big Alien and Aliens
Yeah,
reference
and
because it's like the ragtag group of.
yeah, the set piece looks so much like when the crew,
Nostormo?
yeah, the crew from the Nostromo get up for the first time, and they kind of like have that little talk and everybody, and Dr. Weir kind of fits instead of the android, which is
Yeah.
kind of weird, but if you put the two and two together, it's like, oh, this guy is out there. Okay, so the first theory of this movie, and yes, I've brought
Yes, the piece of paper. Yes. So this is how this gravity drive that he created works.
Yes. So they get introduced to Dr. Weir, and Dr. Weir explains what is the event horizon, and he's telling him, we have this sophisticated new drive that I invented, and he asks him a very simple question: what is the fastest distance between 2 points? Is a line.
And
And
Justin
he says,
says,
well,
it's a line.
it's a
Like,
line, but
well,
no,
it's actually absolute zero.
Why? Because if you think of space as a plane and you want to get from here to here, all the drive does is fold space, creates a portal, and you
So
just
they
run.
exist in the same plane, and
They
when you pop out in
exist
the other, that's where you are.
That's where you are, which is basic folding space theory. It's an actual physical, like physics theory. How much power you need to do this? Nobody fucking knows. And then nobody knows if
it's actually technically even possible to do it. Yeah.
But in theory, it is possible. It's weird. It's a weird theory. But yeah. It would be interesting if we see that in our lifetime. But it's kind of funny. But
would you say it's a weird theory or it's a weird
theory? Because it's Dr. Weir. No, this is not the thing I wanted to show. I wanted to show that room with everybody. This, because when we say alien and the Nostromo, see the I want to talk about not the people talking, is the color scheme. Do you see the color scheme in the room is very white, same as the Nostromo. Plus, everybody's smoking, like the scene with the Nostromo. Even though you and I both know nobody fucking smokes on anything going to space because oxygen. Yeah. So,
which there's a line later that you and I are going to have to discuss, which makes absolutely no fucking sense physics wise.
Oh, like, if we're talking about no sense, we're going to talk about that gash on that ship, by the way.
Yeah, that too.
All right. So we get to introduce everybody, then we get closer to the event horizon, and then because you see a few shots of the ship, of the event horizon from the outside before they get to it, and it seems big, but you don't have the
scale,
the real
until
scale
the ship
of it,
gets,
until they actually have, like, okay, we're 5,000 meters, we're 4,000 meters. It's like, by the way, it's 5 kilometers, but in space, it's like, it's that much.
Nothing, yeah.
When you're talking about, and then we see this shot, which is one of my favorite shots, because they're literally face to face with a monster of a ship, figuratively and literally and figuratively a monster of a ship. And you get this shot, but you also get, it's really like, it's top down. It's really hard to get. Come on, baby. There we go. So the little ship is right there, and this is the event horizon. And when it goes top down in that specific shot, where it literally got like it zooms out, you see how tiny their little salvage ship is compared to that massive, and that's just the front of the ship,
Yeah,
which is awesome. It's just an
which is
awesome shot.
and very important thing to note too, the giant bridge between the two portions of the ship.
Yeah, I know. So they begin salvaging. Everybody's testing around, getting their suits together. We've got the captain, and we've got Cooper right here. We've got what's his face? Justin, I think.
Justin, yeah.
Justin. Yeah, Justin. Baby Bear going off
Baby Bear, yeah.
to explore everything.
Poor Baby Bear.
Yeah, poor Baby Bear. And of course the ship's doctor, the girl doctor, what's her name? Let's see. Peters, yeah. Peters. She also goes to that section of the ship.
Well, and they already do a bit of setup for what would be her. It's not really a dream sequence. It's more just the illusions that the ship is playing on them to prey on their insecurities and fears.
Yeah.
With her watching that's the role of her son's birthday party that she's missing. And even Miller asks her, like, well, I'm really sorry I had to bring you on board on this, but you're the last one that I knew I could trust to bring you on board. And she said, oh, well, my son will be watched by his father, and then I get him during the summer, so everything will be fine. But that there's that tinge of just heartbreak in her that she couldn't be with her son at this time.
Yeah, and I think before they do the whole docking thing, that's where she watches like a video, of a journal or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just set everything up for the dream sequence.
Yeah.
And of course, this is like, I like this thing because there's a better shot where you see Justin with the little spotlight coming in, and he looks at it and he asks like Dr. Weir, what the hell is this? And he explains something about it, like counteracts the magnetism of the drive. I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be a singularity. You create a singularity with that drive in order to open that hole in space and fold space, right?
Yes.
What does magnetism have to do with anything?
Well, apparently it was supposed to the inherent. By the way, that they get to a point where like the warp drive apparently has a triple magnetic field that's around it in order to contain the stasis of the field that they're creating in order to travel forward through it. But also it's like that makes no sense. Because, if you just put magnetic field on top of magnetic field on top of magnetic field, you could just do the same thing with one magnetic field. Because they're going to have to be either positive, negative, and then positive again. Exactly.
And that kind of... Look, I'm a dumbass. I'm barely finished high school, and I know all about like it just have to be one charge against the other charge. It's like
had they just said that some kind of like ion shielding or something like other superfluous sci-fi nonsense to explain like, yeah, it's 3 fucking force fields. That's what it's supposed to be. Like, cool. All right, let's go with that.
All right, and the last thing before we actually dive deeper into the dream sequences is this, where
yes, the drive room.
This is where I'm gonna let you go off on a tangent on Warhammer a 40K, but wait a second. This is possibly my favorite drive of any ship in terms of design, of
Mhm.
how it looks, not actually functions, but how it actually looks. This is fucking amazing, man. The way it moves, because it moves and moves and moves, and then at one point it kind of aligns and opens up the portal, right? But when before it actually stops and opens up, it looks, this whole room looks like it's going to fucking kill you. This is
Mhm.
the insides of an Iron Maiden,
Mhm.
and it's a fucking space drive. That's,
Yeah.
I love this. So give me
So, okay.
Warhammer 40K.
I have to say, first and foremost, the drive and how it's set up in this movie. I love how they utilize the internal sphere in a guy did a full like a Astartes like CGI film, which by the way you should watch because it's outrageously well done, and one guy did it. But the drive looks like that leading
Yeah.
into the warp. The center drive is like, oh, that's a cool nod back to Event Horizon. But anyway, so the concept of the warp itself is basically just an extra dimension. It's another dimension that's outside of our own, where things that are perceived in the warp can be perceived outrageously different by the person, the object. Doesn't matter. 1 second could feel like a millennia. 10,000 years could feel like a day. It's all up to the perception of the person being thrown through the warp. So that's why like everything with the event horizon, even though it's been gone for 7 years, those scenes where there are still viscera from some of the former crewmates, which we're going to
Yeah.
get to, it still exists there. So it may have been 7 years outside of the warp, but it may have been 30 days inside of the warp. It may have
Yeah.
been a week inside of the warp.
I want to get
You
to,
never know.
look, I love the like little details
The
of this.
plating, yeah.
The plating looks up close. It actually looks like steampunk ish, I would
In a
say,
way.
with all
In a
the
way.
bolts, but it's super gothic. It's a
Which,
combination of real, like, you would, I would say, if you look inside an emo's heart, that's how it looks like.
oh yeah, that's exactly like.
Like an
Don't get me
emo
wrong.
person's heart would look
That's
exactly
exactly
like
what
this.
40K is. 40K is it's super 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 high like high concept sci-fi
Yeah.
mixed with like the high gothic mythology, and some of the they use like giant blast shields, they use chain swords in it for Christ's sake
Yeah.
for melee combat. I mean, it's
Over
like,
the top,
yes,
ridiculous
if you think
armaments and everything.
everything about 40K is completely over the top, and the warp personifies that as a theme of, especially in the warp there are I told you about the four chaos gods and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, but that's really not important to this conversation.
This,
It's
yeah, yeah.
more of just like how the warp can change and affect people, and breed on people's mistrust and doubt and hate and love and hopelessness. Everything about it is just the antithesis of life itself is what the warp is, because the warp is essentially just a a giant plane of internal chaos where it's not supposed to exist, and it's fighting against itself to exist. That's why time makes no sense. That's why your placement doesn't make any sense. That's why half of 40K doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And it actually, in this movie, we have, it's not the warp, but it's a manifestation of hell. But what they say at the end, it's not hell, but it's chaos, I would
Yeah,
say. But I think it's weird talking through the other side, saying, well, this is not, you will call it hell, I would call it chaos.
yeah.
It kind of harkens that. So
Hmm.
one of the things that is manifested is preying on the fears or the deep fears of the crew. And one of those fears actually manifests itself in this dream sequence. This is the Peter's dream sequence where she
Oh,
deals with Justin. Justin was sucked into
yeah, I was gonna say
the black portal. He was pulled out and he was alive, but he's not there.
he's
He's
catatonic.
catatonic. That's the word I was looking for. And while is looking after him, the doctor, there's this scene where she hears something. She turns around. Everything is kind of spooky. And then she sees that little tent and she approaches it, opens up the tent, and it's her son saying, "Mommy," but she snaps out of this real quick.
No, well, the thing is, she looks down and she sees what she fears the most, because her son's already been, he's paralyzed. He's in a
Yeah.
wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I think, but what she sees is she sees lesions and maggots crawling out of his legs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he basically asking for help, and it's DJ, the doctor, who comes up behind him and goes, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And it was the first, it's the first jump scare of the movie.
Yeah. She snaps out of it because,
She's
and
jolted out of it. Yeah.
yeah. And all the while, we have the crazy guy in Smitty. He's not crazy, but he's the most suspicious one, and he's already has that little voice on his head. It's not really a voice, but saying that we should leave. We need to leave. We need to go. And of course, when Justin gets pulled into the black hole, there's a big surge of energy, and it kind of rips the ship apart. It actually creates a big gash on the rescue ship, on the small ship, which Smitty and Cooper are dealing with, basically. And that kind of keeps them away from the big ship and away from maybe succumbing to those fears that are prevalent in most of the crew. Again, I was saying that maybe Stark, the lieutenant, the Jolie Richardson's character, maybe she had some sort of a dream sequence.
She did, and it was cut out. Yeah.
But it was cut out. I'm saying I don't know. You saying it's definitely there, but it was cut out. It seems like she should have had one.
Mhm.
Also with DJ, I think he had like a very maybe we saw a taste of it because he had the heart surgery. He had the scar, but it only manifests itself at the end. So it must have been something.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been something.
Yeah.
I want to get
side
to.
notes. Speaking of that, the lost footage too, which is an unfortunate thing, is a lot of the footage that was lost past the 10 minutes that Paul W.S. Anderson wanted to add is gone forever. They have lost that footage. It's gone.
So there's no director's cut coming. There's no.
No, in fact, Paul W.S. Anderson said he would never make a director's cut of this movie.
No, I would guess as much. But again, how much can you add? Dream sequences.
There's a little bit more to that, to the called the blood orgy scene later that we'll discuss.
Yeah. Right.
Showing more of the effects of the warp and stuff, but yeah.
I
not
like
the
this.
warp.
I love this shot. I love this, not the scene itself, but I love the design of what they were going for. With all the little panels and shit. I love this. This room, actually, this is what I wanted the Enterprise to be in the Star Trek movies or in the show itself.
You know what I was thinking of? That don't get me wrong, I was in the same track of thought of yours, but I was thinking more of like the interior of a Borg cube.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because that would have been cool as hell.
This is like not the outside where they have their little pods where they work, but the inside of the cubes, the little corridors in the cube. Mm-hmm. This set design is one of my favorites of the insides of a ship. You can walk on it, but you can also open it up. You can pull it out. It's all circuitry. Everything is lit kind of the green thing works because it's not all green. Some of it's darker green, some of it's lighter green. So it has a little bit of texture, but it adds so much to the backstory. And it's literally a throwaway scene where you have yet another Dr. Weird dream sequence where he's the most attached to the ship because he's the one that built the drive, and the ship affects him the most.
Definitely.
And I think from all of them, maybe he is the most broken.
Oh, most definitely. That's why he's the most susceptible to it, because his whole regrets are about his wife, who killed herself because he wasn't home doing what? Building this.
Yeah, he was actually, his wife killed herself because he was spending so much time building this ship or this drive, and the fear of losing his wife is intertwined and connected to actually making this drive work.
Correct.
So before we go on, we move on to my favorite segment of this podcast. Maybe the crowd as well. So we're going to say hi again to Saf, who joined us, and Doll. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is No Text Poster, where I put up 10 posters with no text on them, from promotional thing, from anything you want, and Oh My Feelings and the chat will guess which movie it is. I tried to have it sci-fi-ish, but not everything. Okay, so let's us begin.
Flash.
Flash Gordon.
What?
All right. Chat, rescue Oh My Feelings, please. Oh, man. I thought this would not stomp you. Come on.
It's not Dune.
It's not Dune. Saf doesn't know.
It looks so Monty Python-esque.
It looks so Monty Python-esque. And by the way, it was when I was looking at this movie originally when I was a kid, they said, oh, it's by Monty Python, but it's not really. It's just has Monty Python actors in it. Yes, we got it.
Wow. Yeah. Nope. I have actually never seen that movie. So good on you, Alec.
It's not good. No. It's very timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly, and it's not very good.
Sorry, no, not good on. Good on the person that has Alec Baldwin in their moniker. Not good on Alec Baldwin. You know what
I mean. We'll call him James. I'm not sure it's James, but let's.
Oh wow, that's not. It's not Sleepwalkers.
It's not Sleepwalkers.
Is that American Werewolf in Paris?
It is American Werewolf, but not in Paris.
In London.
In London.
There we go. Gargantua.
No.
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Yes. By the way, if I have this on canvas.
Note that the one guy in blue is looking right up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. He's just like, ha!
I know.
That's new. Is that Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, this is not sci-fi, by the way.
That's not not Day of the Dead. Is it Day of the Dead?
It is Day
Day
of
of
the
the Dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
That's the third Romero.
Whoa. Yeah. God, I hated this movie.
I love this movie. It made absolutely no sense
No
at the end.
fucking sense. It was
At the end,
basically
yeah.
Limitless, but the female version of it, in a way.
No, not really.
Well, she got injected with a pill that made her do all this crazy shit. So, God,
No,
I
she ate.
can't.
She ate meth.
Lucy.
Lucy,
Yeah.
got it.
Yep.
Lucy. Next one. I think it's no two more. I think
Is that just the original Planet of the Apes?
Planet of the Apes, the
Yeah.
original with Heston.
Yeah.
Oh, we got another one.
The Fly.
The Fly.
The Thing.
The Thing. Very nice. Very good. Very good. Cool.
See how you caught in my wheelhouse there.
Hey, I said okay.
Time
it's The
Bandits,
Fly,
though.
so
Oh wow,
Time
Time Bandits, the movie I have not seen in ever. And Lucy, I think I saw it once and was like, this is not for
I
me.
fucking love Lucy, man.
There's a thing about breast milk in there where I immediately go, no, I am checked out.
That's like close to the end.
I know, because it gets super weird at the end.
It has some good ideas in it.
Yeah. So does the movie that we're reviewing right now. Speaking of,
yes, it is. We're gonna jump forward where after Dr. Weir has hit, he goes into the guts where that little room, and he has a massive dream, not dream sequence, but
it's a hallucination. It's a hallucination.
It's a hallucination
of his ex-wife.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll call it a
wife.
dream sequence ish, but it actually activates the ship so much it wakes up Justin, and Justin goes into the airlock, and he like literally opens up the door.
Which,
not the door itself, but he starts the sequence
to open up the airlock.
Ship. Yeah.
And I just a small little caveat here. There is a band that not a lot of people have ever heard of, which I'm surprised if anyone that ever will watch this knows of them, called Velvet Acid Christ.
I've never heard of them.
They have their entire one of their full albums has nothing but like small little snippets of bits of this movie. Mm-hmm. One with Miller going, "This place is a tomb."
Yeah.
And Justin in this scene saying, "There's a dark inside me."
Yeah. It's when he actually has sort of two stages in this where he goes away and he's a little bit of sort of unresponsive. He is talking, but he's talking about stuff that maybe he's stuck in a dream and he's talking. We don't actually know, but he actually at some point kind of, snaps out of it.
Well, because it's right when it's already too late.
Yeah, it's too late, and he cannot help himself. And they're trying to help him, and the captain, like Laurence Fishburne character, kind of tries to tell him. He's
walking him through how to survive, how to at least like live for 30 seconds,
and Cooper kind of finishes what he was doing and literally coming to save him, and they actually save him.
No, it's only Miller. Miller is the one that saves him. Cooper is still working.
Oh, right. Miller's on the outside Miller's on the outside. So he grabs him, puts him in, and they deal with him. He actually technically survives this. His eyes got exploded, his innards got swollen up too much, and they put him in the
stasis pods.
Stasis tanks. Yeah, mm-hmm. The stasis tanks to basically keep him alive. But he's on the salvage, not the salvage ship, but on the front head of the Event Horizon,
mm-hmm.
Not on the salvage ship. And at this point, they've basically Captain Miller, Laurence Fishburne's character. He's like, yeah, we are off this fucking ship. we're getting off. I need. He's trying to get Smithy and Cooper to finish up their repairs.
Aw, baby bear. There's
Yeah,
baby
baby
bear.
bear. Yeah, they kind of want to finish the repairing the ship and everything, and he's like, I'm out of here. And Weir does not want to leave. There we go. Weir does not want to leave.
Yeah.
And that's where we get a little bit of we get the doctor who has his agenda and the captain who has the agenda to actually keep the fucking crew alive
5.
and
Yeah.
well and get the hell out of there and
Well, and then
survive.
Miller tells his own little side story too about how the personification of his nightmares that he sees is one of his former crewmates that he had to leave behind as basically the ship was blowing up behind him.
Yeah.
He couldn't save him. And this is one of the things that I wanted to bring up before we mentioned about how
this is the exact like scene where he talks. Basically, he tells that to DJ about his fears and his
but how things are physically impossible. Where he goes, "Have you ever seen fire in zero gravity in space?" Like,
yeah,
no, because that's not possible. Because fire needs what? Oxygen.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Had you ever seen fire just in zero gravity and see how it flows? That would work because there would still be oxygen for it to keep feeding off of.
Yeah, there technically when maybe there's a hull breach or something like that, but again, you wouldn't see it. Maybe he was talking about because they have some sort of gravity like gravity, not drive, but some sort of artificial gravity.
Yes,
maybe
correct.
That kind of was turned off. It's not in space, but it's inside the ship. But with the entire life support running, maybe he meant that. It was just not clear. I knew what he meant.
Yeah,
he meant that the gravity, artificial gravity, wasn't active.
And there was
fire.
Just that one extra little line that he said, like, but then because there was a hull breach and it was in space. Like, well, that means that all of the oxygen would have been sucked out, which means like none of your crew would have burnt to death.
Yeah,
there would have been like massive decompression, which we're going to talk about later because there is a scene that still to this day it's like, what? What?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back because we said it's a perfect time to talk about CGI. Now we did talk about Blade.
This movie's score and CGI effects are just like Blade. They are reminiscent of one period of time in movies, the late 90s, early aughts.
Yeah.
Like it encapsulates it perfectly.
I'm trying to catch the specific point, but I think it's where he goes to. Oh, yeah. Oh, nearly got it. There we go. It's a good shot. It's not a perfect shot, but you see the bubble right here.
Yeah.
See the bubble. Now there's another shot where there's a bubble right above the drive console, right? And he scoops it away. And it looks so
bad,
fake and bad.
It's not even that, Matt. Like there are scenes where they just have random floating debris, like wrenches and coffee cups, and it looks
a dead
awful.
body. Yeah, a dead body.
It looks terrible.
But I like it when they turn on the artificial gravity.
And
everything kind of falls off, and the dead body who was frozen in space, literally, they didn't even think about like maybe moving it a little bit. No, they just left it, and everything falls, and it literally shatters. And then they look up, and the same kind of thing, but not really, was splattered crewmates all over the fucking bridge. Yeah. Which kind of leads us to this conversation back to that room where at first they got a message, and DJ says, well, it's Liberté May, which is save me,
Me,
right?
yeah.
And when he listens to it again and again and again, he say Liberté toute me, which is save
Save
yourself.
yourself. Save you, or save yourself. And then
Yeah.
was this like it was it Liberté te me exfirne, which is
Yeah.
save yourself from hell.
Yes. Where it kind of, yeah, I want to get to that point, because this is the point right after you see all the splatters and everything, but it's after DJ tells him, and then Peters kind of interprets the voice recorder, not the voice recorder, the ship's log, and you see them with like everybody's alive and everything, and they see the captain, and the captain says, well, it's our maiden voyage, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then literally cuts to everybody's like killing each other. The fucking captain gouges his own eyes.
Well, it's the first time that you see that, it's completely scrambled because they can't make it out, because that's after the gravity warp was initiated. So it's like, and also like what I told you about the time effects, even in this universe, where it's like, well, we don't know how much time has passed on there, so it could have been just 5 seconds, or it could have been 5 years, or it could have been 500 years. We don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah. Now I want to get to a point. It's really hard to pinpoint. I have it on the short version, where you see the patches on the ship, on the salvage ship.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try and get it. No, I can't get it. I don't even know exactly where it is, but there's a point, and you'll see it on the short at the end of the podcast, where you see Cooper and Smitty with literal squares of
plates,
patches on that salvage ship that has like a big gouge. It is so damn hilarious. It's just, that ship will never have any re-entry of any kind ever. Not to mention a 47G like ride back home. I don't know what they're gonna do.
They would rip that apart in a second.
in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And I hate to say it, but they literally didn't think it through. They just wanted to get the fuck out of there. That's all they wanted to do. And at this point, Weir has totally succumbed to the influence of the ship. They just don't know it yet. And there's this, like, we're at this point an hour into the movie, and there's 30 minutes to wrap
left.
everything up. And like we said, in an hour and a half, you got a lot of setup in the first hour, same as we did at Friday the 13th. And then the last like 40 minutes or 30 minutes, it's like go, 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 go. Until this point, basically, Justin is the only guy who got close to being dead. But now it kind of ramps up where Peters goes out first. They go out and get their filters or something.
The CO2 scrubbers, yeah. They basically just
they take oxygen, one of the, like Smitty and Peters go and take it, and they want at least 25 for the ride back, because that's what they calculated. Smitty goes away. Peters stays behind. She hears her son at another hallucination. She goes out after him, and she falls to her own death. Basically. And
which, by the I would have everyone watch that, and you can immediately just see, you could see how rushed this was, because it's obviously a fucking dummy that they threw down, because it crumples upon itself while falling and getting hit on, like ping-ponging in between those little side steps before it crashes down.
Yeah.
Right before what? The warp drive.
Yeah. And after that, we have basically the conclusion where, like I said, Weir succumbs to the full influence of the
Yeah.
ship, where he goes into the drive room after Peters is dead. He closes up the
He
room.
does have that one little moment of the last vestiges of his humanity where he actually goes, "Oh, Peters." Like he genuinely mourns her for a good 30 seconds. But
Yeah,
then he gets those flashbacks to what?
this
His former
his
wife.
ex-wife, and he tells her, "I'm sorry," and the whole deal about him not spending any time with her, and that's how she feels. So basically, she gets her makeup done, she goes into the bathtub, slashes her wrists, and literally dies. And you see him mourn again, um, suggesting maybe he was the one that found her body, and he's he's into the ship. He's like fully
Yes.
succumb, and
And then he does see her again, the eyeless.
yeah,
And what does he do?
he hugs.
Gouges
Oh,
his
he
own eyes
gouges
out.
his own eyes. Yeah, he gouges his own eyes. And all right. So in a series of events, they literally find out that Weirhead has betrayed them. And the whole plan is to basically detach from the ship, take everything, and leave. And when they're trying to um, get everybody to go through that bridge, Captain Miller finds out there's a missing bomb, because all
Bomb.
throughout the ship has a front end and a back end connected by a whole tubing, basically a whole bridge, and it is rigged to blow in case of something happened with the drive. You blow
Correct.
out the bridge, and the front of the ship becomes a sort of a lifeboat. And they're not planning on doing that, but he's in the middle of it trying to get everybody to that little sleeve that they'd open up with the salvage ship, and he finds out there's a missing bomb. And he already knows Weir is behind it. He already does, because he was acting weird. They were on the comms. Weir told them that is like, it's gonna happen. You're gonna be here. You're
Yeah.
the crew of the ship, the new crew. And he sees the bomb, and he tells Smitty. He kind of puts two and two together, and it tells Smitty to get the fuck out of there, right?
Yeah.
And he tells him, "No, I've just finished everything with everything." And he goes out, and he literally opens
If,
up.
one little side question I have to ask is, why the fuck did he not tell Cooper to do the same? Like, jump over.
Yeah, Cooper's on the outside, and
Yeah.
Captain Miller doesn't tell him shit. He
But
just
they
tells
they
Smitty
can
to come
speak the
back.
comms to Smitty, and Smitty could relay that message to Cooper. Be like, Cooper, get over to the event horizon. So we don't know what the hell's going on right now, but we're pretty sure that we're sabotaging ship in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and of course, Smitty finds out the bomb 5 seconds
But
before it
inside
explodes.
what? His own gear.
His own gear, and kaboom!
Dirty rotten bastard.
Kaboom! Everything explodes. Now, this is where, like, again, everything ramps
Suspension of
up.
disbelief. You also have to put that
You,
in because one charge could blow that entire ship up.
yeah, completely. Now, I want to touch upon this.
Yes, Cooper, by the way, the unsung hero of this movie, because this man is the most.
This guy has
he has the
got
most
his
ingenuity.
shit together. Yeah, he's got
Yes.
his shit together. He literally blows up. He is on a part of the ship that goes away from everything at, I don't know, explosion speed. You would think that is a lot, right?
It's some very good sense of propulsion in a place that has essentially no friction whatsoever.
Exactly. So the immediate thinking is, I have to get back to the ship. What can I do to boost myself? Oh yeah, I'm gonna drain my air tanks because I'm going back to that ship, right? So I'm gonna blow everything. He clicks on it, and he just, I'm gonna coming back, motherfuckers. He literally says that.
And also, can I give just a side kudos to this film for being a horror film and not killing all of the black people in it? I mean, really?
What are you talking about? That's a
and
trope.
making one of them by far the most intuitive and ingenuitive people in the entire crew, and the one who first
Both of them, by the way.
yeah,
Both
both of
of
them.
them.
And he is the one who's like, yeah, he's the one who brings when he saves Justin, because he's the
Yeah.
one who rescues Justin.
Yeah.
And he goes, listen, I know what I saw. We have to leave now.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's no saving this. We have to go now.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. And it kind of harkens back to what we said about American History X and the 90s, especially the late 90s, where there's no pointing out, oh, look, we've got a black captain and we've got a black engineer. There's no interest about color or whatever. We've got the captain and we've got the engineer and we've got the lieutenant, and there's a structure there, and that's how it works. And nobody argues more than, the Smitty kind of
Typical,
argues, but
but that's squabbling for squabbling's sake,
yeah,
and it's
it's
also
not.
like Smitty actually has decent arguments again, like, hey, by the way, Justin almost died. Let's get the fuck out of here. And he's immediately like, no, you're full of shit. We have to go now.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a hierarchy. There's a little bit of squabbling, but there is a hierarchy, and nobody mentions fucking race. Who cares about the fucking
Yeah.
race, right?
Yeah.
And there's no point in getting into it.
No.
But that's how it works, and that's how I like it, where there's no hangups about, we've got a lieutenant woman, and there's nothing. We've got a story, and the story works to a degree, of course, but it kind of works and flows together. And you've got your Cooper, who's, again, he fixes up the ship. He's cool, calm, and collect during a major crisis where he is literally flung up into fucking space, right? And he knows he has to get back to that big ship.
The first time.
I agree. But he is cool, calm, and collect, and he's like, I'm getting back, you motherfuckers, because I am not dying up here. I am not dying up here.
Then we move to I
want to get to the bridge.
The bridge. Yes, scene. The bridge.
Where we kind of have some sort of exposition. There we go. It's a little bit, I caught it, magnifique.
Yes.
With the lightning. It's not a lightning. It's basically one of the circuits kind of blows away. But it has the same lightning effect where you have in like horror movies where there's lightning and you see it viscerally in your face. Yep. How horrible it is. So we've got Weir with his eyes gouge out, but he literally sews them together. But that's your not your basic, but your sort of if we talked about like old gods, Cthulhu themes in terms of hell, satanic kind of blood ritual, all that fact that harkens back to this.
Yeah.
Where and it escalates even further later on.
Yeah. But I was gonna say that it's the same thing with ideas in like the warp and stuff in 40K. It's the same kind of concept. And what he says one line to Miller in this. He goes, "Where we're going, we don't need eyes to see."
Yeah, exactly. It kind of puts us in a he says about the chaos dimension, and as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, where we said you would call it hell, but I would call it chaos. Mm-hmm. It's different. It's not what you think it is. It's just much worse.
Yeah,
much worse.
Oh, one thing we did skip over just real quick was the scene. What happened to the previous crew? Mm. Was the scene when Peters and Stark, when they finally decipher the film, showing them basically, yep, they're basically having sex with each other and mutilating each other. And
yeah, I didn't get the sex part. I just thought they were killing each other.
They were definitely fucking.
Okay. Okay. It doesn't do it for me, but okay.
Yeah.
I think we kind of skipped the part where before everything blows up, DJ is kind of succumb to a not really a dream sequence, but he's being manipulated and he gets caught by a weir, and he literally opens him
No,
up,
he has
and
he's having the conversation with Miller on comms, and Miller is telling him, "Okay, Weir has
it's gone
gone
crazy.
completely
Yeah.
AWOL. At this point, if you see him, kill him. We're getting out of here. He has to be taken out." And
Yeah,
DJ
and
says, "Don't worry about it. I'll get it taken care of." And he
he
immediately just gets
yeah,
grabbed by the throat.
he turns around. I think, is he turning around or gets slashed immediately after he went off comms?
No, he turns around. Basically, Weir grabs him by the throat, throws him against the wall, knocks him out, puts him on the table, and
And
as he's
opens him up
unconscious, you see the scar from his open heart
from
surgery,
his open heart surgery. Yeah.
and he basically vivisects him.
Yeah,
And
completely.
strings him up
Strings him up,
in the
kind
medical
of
bay.
Hannibal Lecter style.
In a way, yeah.
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 So they set up the blast. This is the part where they set up the whole blast between like the back of the ship where the drive is and the front of the ship, which is the lifeboat, like it says, right? And
Okay, but did we finish on the major scene in the bridge? Let's finish on that because Weir sets up the drive to restart. To like
yes.
So we're going back. We're gonna go back.
Yeah, this scene where he tells them about the drive, he tells them about what's going on the other side, and tells them that you are the new crew of this ship. And we are going back.
Yes,
I've set it in motion. It's unavoidable at this point.
Yeah. So Stark and Miller are in that room with him because Stark just got woken up by Miller.
Yes.
And Stark's kind of hiding to the side still because she's still kind of out of it still. And Miller and
no, Miller's the only one in that room because Cooper's coming back.
No, Stark is in that room because Stark jumps on him. Weir throws Stark to the side and knocks her back down.
Yeah.
Miller goes to grab his little repair gun, but Weir has to jump on him. He goes, "Yeah, but if you miss me, that's going to cause a massive hull breach." And what did he say? I love this line because it's inherently just dumb because he can't fucking see. Because what makes you think I'll miss?
Yeah.
You have no eyes? And that's when Cooper flies into the side.
He flies into the side, but they already got the like. There's a plus. It looks like a big
it's like a big T shape outside the
and
window.
They managed to break it to let Cooper in. Weir kind of gets flung out of the ship, and at this point, if you're watching this for the first time, you think, "Oh, they've done it. He's out of the ship. He's dead."
Also, side note, this is the other bit of physics that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
called explosive decompression.
Oh yeah.
All of them would be dead like that.
Yes, exactly. It's not like you're in an airplane and there's a breach. The plane is leaking out like compression, but it can technically still land if the engines are not hurt or anything like that. If there's just a big massive hole or one of the windows is broken and like let's say it sucks out, nobody's technically gonna get sucked out. It's a problem, but you can still navigate the plane. This is fucking space. You'll be fucking dead almost instantly, and you won't have any strength to resist the air going out. Right? And which is ridiculous. But they managed to literally get Weir out the fucking ship and get Cooper in and get Stark and get Miller outside of that room and
Yeah.
close off the
Which
bridge.
was I love that the play on that because immediately Cooper's like, I made it back, motherfuckers. And then the window blows out and it pushes him away and it's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And then so they end up finding him on the other side of the ship in an airlock. And
Yeah.
so it's Stark and Miller after Miller saves Stark, and they both pick up just random weapons that are on the side. One's a
Yeah.
giant like wrench, almost a pipe cutter, which
It
makes
looks
sense.
like a pickaxe to me. It looked like
That's what
it's
the one
not a
that
pickaxe.
that's the one that Stark picks up. That looks like it's like, is that like an axe with a pickaxe handle on the back? I don't know what that would be used for, but
Yeah,
anyway.
it's indeterminable.
And I love the fact that the first thing when the airlock opens up, when Cooper comes out, he goes, "Ah, don't hit me!" And he falls over.
And of course, Captain Miller goes up to set up all the charges because you need to set them up because you don't have the bridge. You have to set them up to blow in succession, plus time the whole bombing is around as well. But when he gets to the last bomb near the meat grinder, he is being forced into that drive room because of his own hallucination, his own fears,
Guilt.
and it literally pushes him into that room as well. And of course, because it's a hallucination, it actually manifest. Oh, I can't talk today.
Manifests itself?
In the room itself as well.
Yes. But you find out quickly that that actually wasn't the manifestation of his own fear. It was actually
Weir itself. And I'm going to get to that point as well. It's a little bit gory, but
oh yes, all of his ritualistic scarring that he's already done. And note that his eyes are already back.
Yes. But his whole body he's completely naked. His whole body is filled with these kind of slashes and scars. This reminds, I've seen, like in the last couple of days when I kind of set everything up for the podcast, I've seen a lot of recurring references to Hellraiser.
Yes, Hellraiser, yeah.
And this is kind of, well, this came out a lot after Hellraiser and 2 and 3 and 4, I think.
I think it came up right. I think the only one was before this was Hellraiser in space.
But they kind of took that design of Pinhead just without the pins.
Yeah.
Well, or one of the other ones doesn't really.
Well,
matter.
that too. It again, we're gonna go back to the 40K thing.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the major powers in there is Slanesh, and her whole thing is about ritualistically scarring yourself. It's all about enjoying the most sensations that you can whatsoever while you can.
A derivative of pain.
The heights of pleasure and pain, everything that you can feel, you want to feel it as much as you can. So yeah, ritualistic scarring is one of the big things in hers. Yeah. Anyway.
But as we well know, the Captain Miller set up all the charges.
I want to say one thing: the fight scene between Miller and Weir is by far one of the most hilarious things you can listen to, just because of the effects that they used. Because oh my god, it's worse than Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 2. It's like, ugh.
Okay.
It's terrible, and it makes me laugh hysterically. The first time I heard it,
but yeah.
The first time I heard it, I had to go back and listen to it again to make sure, did I hear that correctly? And then I just started laughing. And then when I rewatched it this morning, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking funny. It sucks all the drama out of it for me.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, we get the ship blowing up, and there's a whole bit where Stark and Cooper get washed in a massive tank
of blood. And did you notice in that scene in the background there's ritualistic markings on the 3 tubes in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's the ship.
Kind of marks for death and that sort of thing. I saw it as like marks for death.
Yeah, but to say the one line that something that we're always told him was like, you again, you don't need eyes to see, when we're going.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he keeps asking like, do you see? Do you see? Do you see? And I do like Laurence Fishburne's like really retort that he finally gets to say when he has the explosive device in his hand, and he pushes the button like, yes, I see, I finally see, and he pushes the button to set up the charges that blow the ship apart.
Yeah, I like the effect of when it actually blows apart and it actually pushes the lifeboat away, and there's like big circles of fire, kind of to signify the shock blast. It would definitely not look like that in space, but it visually
it would go basically like it would go,
yeah, something like that,
because the oxygen would just immediately go away. You might be able to see like if you were to be around it, you could be affected by the force. I'm talking about in
the movie setting itself.
Yes,
it looks very visually satisfying. Yeah. And basically the last scene is the rescue, where again, I love the aesthetic of the ship in terms of like how gothic it is, how everything is spiky, everything is looks harsh, and the shot of the man coming in, again, after you told me about Warhammer, it kind of fits, but I was expecting massive shoulders.
Massive pauldrons, yes.
Massive pauldrons coming in. But not really. It's just a rescue.
But hey, this is pre 40K, so they haven't got to massive shoulder technology yet. Okay.
Yeah, and they basically find the 3 pods. I'm going to show it on screen. They basically find the 3 pods, open up, and that's where we see Stark having
a nightmare,
sort of a nightmare, but it kind of like, again, I said it might have been a dream sequence that has been cut. You saying it's definitely was. It really manifests itself here, where we kind of see the ending horror or the ending dream for something that kind of started off way back at the start of the movie, right? And she doesn't really recuperate because let's just say Cooper cops a massive feel at the end.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that because that makes me feel uncomfortable every single time I watch that scene. I'm like,
but again, it's nothing sexual. It's just so weird that
it's just the way that it was put there, and he keeps putting his hand like right there and like grasping.
Yeah,
like,
she tries to get away, not because she starts to get away from him. In the context of she's still in that dream, he tries to get away, and he keeps grabbing her there. I liked it. I'm into it.
No, but that eventually that's the end of the movie right there.
And it literally
says
like that. It stops and it goes into Prodigy, and oh my god, it's the funky shit, which is a track that I fucking love.
Now that
I'm gonna tell you which you can talk, and I'll tell you which album it is.
That was before The Fat of the Land, right?
It's after.
I thought it was before, because Fat of the Land came out in '98, I think, because that had Breathe and Firestarter.
Yes, it's Fat of the Land.
Smack My Bitch Up. That is on Fat of the Land. Oh, okay. Yep. Same album. Okay, that came out in '97.
And it's the same album that took, I think it's Minefields to The Matrix.
Correct.
It's same album. They took Minefields into The Matrix, which was done. It was production in '98-ish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
by the way, The Matrix has one of the best movie soundtracks of all time.
Oh yeah. With Prodigy, with Rage Against the Machine when they were actually good. They had another
Ministry.
And there's a few others. I can
Pitch Shifter, like that. Rob Zombie's on it.
Zombie's on it.
It's a great album.
Track, but it was only there because you had Prodigy in this one. I never heard a Prodigy song in any other movie, let alone like a movie. And
Yeah.
at the time, I was really into Prodigy because of
Well, because
it
Fat
was a
of Land
part.
just a good album.
No, even before that, I was into
Yeah.
Prodigy. Like, I don't remember the songs right now, but I had
I'm
a
sorry, Meth, you're a hipster Prodigy fan.
oh, fuck
I
you.
was into them before they were cool.
No, first of all, Fat of the Land is not when they became cool.
I'm fucking with you, buddy.
But yeah, it was look. Fat of the Land was so well known because of "Smack My Bitch Up" and not the
No,
song, the video clip, which
the video.
was
Actually,
prohibited to play until
anywhere.
12 p.m. until midnight of
Yeah.
wherever you were living in.
It was actually really popular in the States because of Firestarter and Breathe. Breathe was the really big
Yeah,
hit
Breathe was
in
good.
the
I
States.
didn't quite like Firestarter. It's not my favorite song. I like
No, it wasn't mine either, but
yeah,
hey, got their foot in the door.
yeah, and Breathe was super super
Yeah.
good, and Smack My Bitch Up, whatever.
Yeah.
Was so weird. I went back and watched. I tried to watch the clip for it. There's no video clip for Funky Shit for this movie, right? There's no, but there's lots of like live shows of Prodigy, and I think it's what's his face, Liam. What's the guy in Firestarter? I think his name is Liam. The guy who died. No, Keith Flint. Liam is the other guy. Liam is Keith Flint is the guy with the mohawks, the crazy,
Yeah.
right? Who died sadly. I think. Yeah, died 2019.
Yeah.
And in every single live performance that I've seen, and it's like literally through the years, 1999, 2005, 2009, he was not there. He was not performing. It's just the other three, because there's 4 guys in the band. Kind of weird, but okay.
It happens.
It happens. That's it. Anything to add up before we sum up the whole thing? You know what? Before we sum up everything, let's do
we still have Cinema Deathmatch.
Cinema Deathmatch. Let's do Cinema Deathmatch. Let's me set it up. Dink, dink, dink with the big screen. I love it because it sets up real good. All right. First order of business, Cinema Deathmatch. What is Cinema Deathmatch? Easy. We take 2 movies, pit them together, and see which one we like the most. At the end of the day, it's Friday evening, Saturday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. We want to put something on, streaming it or DVDing it. Which one do we want? This one or that one? Go. Oh, you know what? We'll start with, I haven't seen.
I was going to say, I was going to immediately go another round because another round's a great fucking movie. I
haven't seen it.
It's really good.
I love Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I've got some agreement in the chat, so let's go. Come on. Flickchart.com is the website we're using it. It's a very old website, as you can tell. Come on, please, man. Please. Okay. Well, I'll go first. Okay. It's Team America World Police, actually, because I didn't like the Dark Knight Rises. I didn't like the storyline. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a very, very good Batman movie. I just didn't like the story. And if it's between these two, I would go with silliness, with over the top, Matt Stone, Trey Parker going all out in 2004.
Okay. Now, it is such a tragedy what happened with Heath Ledger.
Yes.
All around. But this was just a side effect of a side effect of a side effect, because The Dark Knight Rises was supposed to be a story, a Joker story. It was. Bane was not supposed to be in the trilogy at all. They had to rewrite it, unfortunately, given to what happened with Heath Ledger. Given that, I have to give it to Team America because Durka Durka Muhammad Jihad.
Yes, I agree. Come on.
But just say that, just as this loads, it's not my favorite Mass and Trey Parker film, but it's up there.
Okay. The Prince of Egypt and the Illusionist.
Never seen The Prince of Egypt.
Okay. It's really, really bad.
Yes.
Really, really, really bad.
Oh, I was talking about your leg, but
no, it's not. It's not my lag. It's this website. I'm sorry. We're gonna vamp. Like, Prince of Egypt is trying to capitalize on the whole Hebrews leaving Egypt and trying to get away with circumventing a classic, which is the Ten Commandments. Right. Fargo and Stand By Me.
Wow. This is a good one. Oh, this is a great one.
Both dealing with dead bodies on the side of the road, actually.
In very different sets of circumstances.
Oh, yeah. Completely different.
Meth?
Oh,
go ahead, buddy.
I love the Coen brothers. I love Fargo. It's one of my favorite Coen brothers movies. It's up there with Big Lebowski. It's just below. I don't know if it's like number 2 or number 3. But Stand By Me has a lot of meaning for me for the time that I've seen it, the age that I've seen it. It's classical, and it used to not make me cry. If I watch it today, I would definitely fucking cry. Fargo is, even though it's dark, it actually puts a smile on my face because of the Coen brothers, how the way that they write tragic characters. So it's going to be Stand By Me for me.
Well, I would say the black humor in Fargo is just mwah.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
It's perfect.
It's so good.
When when he's feeding the pieces of his former friend into the wood chipper, and he's just looking at the cup.
Yeah,
it's like
it's very morbid at this point.
This is why, this is a complete toss up for me, but I have to go back to what our initial standards are. And if I'm going to have a good night, I'm going Fargo.
Fargo. All right. And the chat agrees with you, actually. So we're going to pick Fargo. This is why we have to have a chat or a guest. Social Network or Miss Congeniality?
Let's not even go into it. We already know. We already know.
I don't know.
The Social Network, you know that.
Of course it is. No. X-Men Last Stand, not the greatest X-Men movie.
Oh, wow. 2 terrible fucking movies.
And Anger Management, which I didn't like. I love Jack Nicholson. I love Adam Sandler. There's no chemistry there. And Last Stand is basically trying to tell the Dark Phoenix story in one movie, and it cannot be done.
And that, and also the Messiah complex too, where the No More Mutants, like getting the mutant cure out there. I have to go with Anger Management on this because I would definitely rather watch that again.
All right, cool. The chat agrees with you because that it was Home Alone or Matchstick Men. Ooh. I'm gonna go first. It's gonna be Home Alone because Matchstick Men. And no. Yes, it has Sam Rockwell in it. No, and no, I did not like it at all.
Well, I love con man movies, so I'm gonna go with Matchstick Men. Let's leave it up to the chat.
Okay, let's leave it up to the chat. Come on, let's go. I know I'm at a minority here because Home Alone was really, really popular, and for some reason, Everybody hates this movie now. I don't know why.
Oh, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But it also shows just a child murdering two grown men, which we've discussed at length.
At length. Home Alone it is. The chat has spoken. The Pink Panther, original Pink Panther, or Batman Returns. I fucking love this suit. I fucking love this suit.
It looks great.
Yeah?
Well, that and all of the costuming that they did in Batman Returns is on point. Danny DeVito as the Penguin looks fantastic.
You know I want to let's discuss this because it is something to do with movies. The Batman trailer came out this week or last week, like 4 or 5 days ago.
Yes.
I watched it. I didn't watch the early one. I watched this one because this is the final one, I believe, or it was out during the fandom convention or something like that.
Yes, the DC's fandom.
The DC fandom, yeah. So they came out with that, and I had a thought about it, and then I heard it in some other podcast, and it clicked for me because I had it in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't like the fucking Batman suits from 1992 onwards. I love the yellow symbol in the middle and the yellow belt. I really love it. I'm not a comic book guy. I've never read Batman comic books. Yeah. I only know Batman from Batman the Animated Series, and I know Batman from the movies, right? So I have no comic book point of reference.
Kevin Conroy is the best Batman. Kevin Conroy is the best Batman.
I know. I fucking love the yellow suit. Like in the animated series, I don't think he has the yellow one.
He does.
He does?
Depending on which season
I
you're
think he
watching
started with the yellow one. Gradually, it became like either gray with black or just black.
Yep.
I fucking love this particular suit the most. I love it. So, Pink Panther or Batman Returns?
Oh, but I was going to say, side note, speaking of that new trailer, I am actually looking forward to this new Batman.
Interesting.
You know why?
I'm neither here or there. I'm not really hyped for it. Let's just say that.
I would say the only reason why is because I've seen Pattinson's work over the last couple of years, and some of it is just astoundingly brilliant. Like, if you watch The Lighthouse, oh my God,
I haven't, but
that movie
I was told
so
it was
good.
All right,
it's
which
so
one do you
good.
pick? Which one do you pick? The chat says Pink Panther, by the way.
I know I'm gonna lose this one, but I have to go with Batman Returns because I'm such a big Batman fanboy.
Batman Returns it is, because that's my pick as well. Hey, it's two against the chat, dude. Nonstop or Meet the Fockers. Nonstop is not a good movie at all.
These are both terrible.
Neither is Meet the Fockers, because that's the second Meet the Parents one.
That we talked about this last week, actually, with Fisty about this.
With Fisty.
I'm gonna have to go Nonstop.
Right,
I would have more fun with Nonstop.
I'm gonna go to the chat because
I would say that I would not sit there and cringe half the time at how terrible the humor is.
All right, chat has spoken. It is Nonstop. Jaws or Alien Resurrection. The fact that this movie actually exists is a travesty to the gods. It's Jaws.
It's Jaws. Yeah.
It's Jaws. Wild Wild West and Pretty Woman.
That one has a giant spider in it. I love our inside jokes already.
I love it. I love it. All right. Which one would you pick?
I would actually have to say Pretty Woman.
I'm going to pick Pretty Woman because it's not a...
You work on commission. You're going to regret this.
Yeah. Big mistake. It's not as girly chick flick as I thought it would be when I watched it like a year ago. It's a really smart movie. It's not a romantic comedy as it kind of was supposed to be. All right,
be,
last
yeah.
one. Ace Ventura, When Nature Called. That's Ace Ventura 2 or 12 Monkeys. You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I fucking love 12 Monkeys. It is absolutely great. It is time travel done the least intrusive as possible. It's done so very well. It is unreal that time traveling movies don't get to use this concept of you cannot affect time. Really. There's
yeah, no.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and also I love the fact that how you would consider someone who is constantly talking about time travel, how you would actually perceive them. You'd think that they are fucking crazy. They would be institutionalized. It's an actual adequate adaptation of how someone. Yeah, 12 Monkeys is a great fucking movie. By the way, I think it's the first movie that, maybe the only movie that Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis were ever in together. I think it might be.
Possibly, yeah.
I think it's the only film they've ever been in together.
And also in this stage of Brad Pitt's career, he was always playing these wacky, crazy characters. Like he had the Thelma and Louise, which was his first one, and then he had like California, and 12 Monkeys, and
True Romance,
where he played like these either crazy or psycho characters,
like off the wall,
for a few movies, and then he had Seven, which was very.
Because
he was very grounded at Seven.
Was that Legends of the Fall?
Yeah.
Was that before Seven or after Seven?
It's after Seven.
So did it go 7, Legends of the Fall, then Fight Club?
No, Fight Club before Legends of the Fall, I think.
Fall. Okay. Yeah, I thought Legends of the Fall was mid-90s for some reason. That doesn't matter, but nah, that's what I thought. Anyway.
Legends of 1994, actually. No.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I thought it was like mid-90s.
Was before.
Or 12 Monkeys, yeah.
Before 12 Monkeys. So yeah, like I was saying, he has like this late 90s where he always played like these weird, wacky characters. Wacky. Like in California, he was a psycho, like a psychopathic killer, but he was weird. He always was scruffy looking, dirty. Yeah.
Well, the same thing in True Romance. He was
True Romance as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right, Alec. I completely forgot about Interview with the Vampire, which is that I think it's a terrible adaptation. That's why I really don't care for it. But yeah, he did play the most remorseful vampire in Anne Rice's entire Vampire Chronicles.
He was Angel before Angel. Angel from Buffy.
Yes, in a way. Kind of
vampire with a soul, but not really.
Not really.
All right, let's end this before I get too complicated.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Let's summarize this movie and get to the short version of it. So, give us a take. Yeah, give us a take. I'll give us a take. Okay. What I got from this movie, apart from everything that we kind of went over, is the fact that Paul Wes Anderson, I call it Paul Wes Anderson, but not really, didn't quite make anything of significance after this movie. Not really. He had a lot of strings of really dumb movies that didn't quite make any money. Maybe they made money.
Well, the Resident Evil series actually made a lot of money.
I don't consider, to me, I think he did the first and second, right?
He did all of them.
Oh, I didn't like
all of them.
Didn't like the first. Didn't like this. I didn't like them. I didn't find them any. The story was basic. The premise was basic. They shot it cheap. For me, the Resident Evil movies are not that great. They're not the height of cinema, right? For me, maybe I'm dumb. Maybe they also made money, but
Oh no, they made money because they're cheap popcorn action movies. That's how they made money, because they made them relatively cheap and also he made his wife the lead character in all of them.
I guess.
Mia Jovovich. So.
I just I don't like the Resident Evil movies as well. I know I'm a minority here, but it is.
Oh
what
no,
it is.
you're not in the minority. Saf is like basically the majority of the actual fan of all those films.
So I am the minority.
No,
But
you're the majority of the rest of us are like, oh, these movies are awful.
I don't mind it. We all need a good popcorn movie from time to time, even a bad popcorn movie. Like I said
Yeah.
at the beginning, Event Horizon was my B movie popcorn kind of throwaway horror that you can forget after you left the cinema, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's by the same director that does actiony, popcorny horror movies. Oh, that's right. It's Paul Wes Anderson. Yeah, that's my take for this movie. Soundtrack, not the best. Score, not the best. One good song, which from a band that I actually like from one of their best fucking albums that I almost know every single song in.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's all about the design for me. The story, eh. For you?
That's fair. I'd say again, it became a cult classic for a reason. It's one of those kind of sleeper hit movies where it's one of those movies where if you're flipping through cable, at some point in
Yeah, you
time in the
would
middle
put
of
it
the day,
on if
you'd be like, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Exactly. It's like it's not neither here nor there. It had like a few concepts where they mix up real physics with
Yeah.
like sci-fi, and it's good.
Yeah.
That's what you expect from a sci-fi movie, from a horror sci-fi movie or from regular sci-fi movie.
Well,
What
and then it's also with the importance that the 40K community has put on it as like it's essentially like it's an unofficial prequel to it with how everything just kind of coincides, and even the original screenwriter saying that 40K was a reference that he utilized as an inspiration to create these characters and the warp drive and where they went and everything. It's like, oh yeah, this is kind of important to a certain audience as sort of non-canon, but
yeah,
kind of some of them consider it canon, as the way their whole grand hobby really kind of began. The story of their hobby began, which is in itself is really cool. So
yeah, I would not try to take that away. Like if somebody is a massive fan of Warhammer 40K and he says to me, well, this is the movie that kind of started it for me and I love this movie, more power to you.
More power to you. Yeah.
If you can pour context into a story that I don't see it, but you actually have, put it, let's say they put it on a pedestal, but not really, as something that kind of started it all. I can see the value in it.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, it is time to sum up this movie with a little segment we call.
Okay, here we go. The short version.
Claire, a bit claustrophobic. I'm waiting. What is it you actually do here, Cooper? Shortest distance between 2 points is 0. Looks like a meat grinder to me. Black portal. No one is coming to help us. You created a black hole, the most destructive thing in nature. Mommy? Billy. Open the door, Mama Bear. I'd like to know why one of my men tried to commit suicide. Liberté tout aimé. Save yourself. Ship is patchwork. We're leaving. We need 25. I wasn't there when you needed me. Smitty, get out of there. Here I come, baby. Gateway to another dimension. Don't hit me. She'll never let you leave. Relax. It's the rescue team.
And everything that we didn't catch, those little scenes that we talked about that we didn't actually catch, everything was there in the shorts. All right, everybody. Next week, we finish up the entire horror month, Horror October, with the one that didn't really start it all, but was a significant part of it. Halloween. The original Halloween, from John Carpenter, starring the famous, the luscious Jamie Lee Curtis. We're going to watch that this week, and we're going to discuss it next week, hopefully with a guest, but if not,
we shall see.
We shall see. Until then, if you go to my Twitter at Mephisto, want to give me suggestions, all that good stuff, do that. If you want to contact me via Instagram, Mephisto79 at Instagram, or email me, Mephisto79 at gmail.com to email me, or comment section down below. But subscribe to the channel. Leave a like if you like this. And the most important one, if you like what we do here, please share this video, this channel around. And the more we get with crowd participation. Cannot put two words together. The more crowd we have, the better the segments are, because you guys make it better. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.